You're done here, Amelia.
No, you just made a mistake.
You can't do this!
I already did.
The ICU fell silent the moment Nathan Holloway tore the badge from his wife's chest. "You're done, Amelia. You don't belong in my hospital." Nurses froze. Margaret Holloway watched with quiet satisfaction. Vanessa Pierce laughed without restraint. Amelia didn't argue. She didn't cry. She simply stood there, steady and composed, while her cheating husband stripped her place away, unaware that the woman he had just humiliated was the only one who could decide if his future would survive. Welcome to today's story. If you enjoy emotional drama and shocking twists, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more unforgettable stories. And before we begin, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. Hours earlier, none of them realized the balance of power had already shifted. Amelia Sterling had walked into the hospital that morning the same way she always did. No announcement, no expectation. Just a quiet nod to the front desk, a soft greeting to the overnight nurses finishing their shifts, and a steady rhythm in her steps that came from years of knowing exactly where she belonged. She wore the same navy scrubs she had worn for years. No designer labels, no symbols of status. Nothing that hinted at anything beyond a nurse who worked hard and kept to herself. That was exactly how she wanted it. It had always been easier that way. Simpler, cleaner, real. Nathan Holloway, her husband, had once said he admired that about her. Back when admiration came easily. Back when he still looked at her like she was the strongest person in the room instead of the weakest. Now he barely looked at her at all unless it was to correct something, or control something, or dismiss something. By the time Amelia reached the ICU, she already knew the shift would be tense. Conversation stopped a second too quickly when she passed. A few nurses avoided her eyes. Others offered polite smiles that felt rehearsed. It wasn't subtle anymore. People had started choosing sides. She didn't ask why. She didn't need to. Vanessa Pierce had made sure of that. Vanessa had joined the hospital less than a year ago. Smart, polished, confident in a way that made people pay attention. She had risen quickly, not just through her work, but through proximity. Always near Nathan. Always in meetings she hadn't been assigned to. Always appearing at exactly the right time. Amelia had noticed. She had noticed the late-night calls that didn't get explained, the sudden meetings that extended past midnight, the shift in tone when Nathan spoke about the future of the hospital, or as if that future didn't include her anymore. She wasn't naive. She just hadn't chosen to react. Not yet, because reacting without understanding was a mistake, and Amelia had never been careless with things that mattered. That morning, as she checked patient charts, she heard Vanessa's voice before she saw her. Bright, casual, too comfortable. Some people just don't know when it's time to move on. A few nurses chuckled softly, not loudly, not openly, just enough. Amelia didn't turn around. She finished writing her notes, closed the file, took a breath, then she moved on. That was when Nathan walked in. He didn't greet anyone, didn't acknowledge the room. His presence alone shifted the air. Authority carried in his posture, in the way people straightened slightly when he entered. He stopped directly in front of Amelia. For a moment, neither of them spoke. There had been a time when silence between them felt like understanding. Now it felt like distance. "Step outside, Nathan," said, his tone flat. Amelia looked at him. Calm, steady. "We're in the middle of a shift." His jaw tightened. Now the room went still. She could feel it. The attention. The anticipation. This wasn't a conversation. This was a performance. Amelia set her clipboard down slowly. Not rushed, not hesitant, deliberate. She followed him into the hallway. Margaret Holloway was already there. That alone told Amelia everything she needed to know. Margaret didn't come to the hospital for routine matters. She came when something needed to be witnessed, or controlled, or finalized. Vanessa leaned against the wall a few feet away, arms crossed, watching with quiet interest. Nathan didn't waste time. "This isn't working," he said. "Your performance has been inconsistent. There have been complaints." Amelia held his gaze. "From who?" "That's not relevant. It is if you're making accusations." Margaret stepped forward slightly. "You should be grateful he's handling this privately." Amelia didn't look at her. Nathan exhaled sharply as if patience had run out. "We're restructuring, and you're no longer a fit here." A pause. Then, without warning, he reached forward and tore the badge from her chest. The sound was small, but it echoed. "You're done, Amelia. No hesitation, no doubt, just finality." Behind them, the ICU doors had cracked open just enough for people to see, to witness, to remember. Vanessa laughed under her breath. Margaret didn't bother hiding her approval. Amelia looked down at the empty space where her badge had been. Then she looked back up. Not at Vanessa, not at Margaret. At Nathan, there was no anger in her expression. That unsettled him more than anything else could have. "You're making a mistake," he said, almost defensively now. "No," tilted her head quietly. "You are." For a split second, something shifted in his eyes, confusion. Then it was gone. He folded his arms, regaining control of the moment. "Security will escort you out if necessary." "That won't be necessary." Her voice was calm, too calm. Amelia stepped past him, back into the ICU. No one spoke. She walked to her locker, opened it, took her coat, her bag. Every movement measured, every step steady, no rush, no collapse. She passed the nurses she had trained, the ones who had once come to her for guidance, for reassurance. Some of them lowered their eyes. Others watched her with something closer to guilt. Amelia didn't stop. She didn't ask for anything. She didn't need to. As she reached the exit, she paused for just a moment. Not long enough for anyone to notice why, just long enough to feel it. The line that had been crossed. Then she walked out. Nathan watched her go, convinced he had just removed a problem. Vanessa stepped closer to him, her voice light. That went better than expected. Margaret nodded. It was overdue. Nathan didn't respond. Something about the way Amelia had looked at him lingered longer than he expected. Outside, the air felt colder, quieter. Amelia stood in the parking lot for a moment, her bag resting against her side. Inside it, beneath everything else, was something she had carried for years. Untouched, unopened. She reached in slowly and brushed her fingers against the edge of it, a sealed envelope, heavy, not in weight but in meaning. She didn't take it out. Not yet. But for the first time in a long time, she felt something shift. Not loss, not anger, clarity. Inside the hospital, Nathan Holloway still believed he had control of everything that mattered. Amelia Sterling turned toward her car, already knowing that belief wouldn't survive what was coming next. Amelia didn't drive right away. She sat in the parking lot, hands resting loosely on the steering wheel. The hospital building reflected faintly across the windshield. It looked the same as it always had. Clean lines, glass and steel, calm on the outside. Inside, everything had already turned. She could still hear the sound of her badge tearing. It hadn't been loud, but it had carried. Not because of the force, but because of what it meant. Years of work reduced to a gesture. A public dismissal designed to make her small. And the worst part was not that it happened. It was how easily everyone accepted it. Amelia exhaled slowly and reached into her bag again. Her fingers brushed the envelope, tracing the edge of the paper without pulling it out. It had been there for years, moved from drawer to drawer, from apartment to house, from silence to silence. She had never needed, until now. She let her hand fall away. Not yet, she started the car. The drive home felt longer than usual, not because of distance, but because her mind had finally stopped avoiding what it already knew. Nathan hadn't made a decision today. He had executed a plan. That realization settled in quietly without anger, just clarity. When she pulled into the driveway, she noticed the first difference before she even stepped out of the car. The porch light was on. Nathan never left it on during the day. She stepped inside. The house smelled faintly different. Not wrong, just unfamiliar. A perfume that wasn't hers lingered in the air, subtle but present. Amelia closed the door behind her and stood still for a moment. Then she walked into the living room. The wall above the fireplace was empty. For years, there had been framed photographs, their wedding. A few quiet vacations, moments that had once meant something. Now, the wall was clean, as if those years had been erased. She didn't ask why, she already knew. A soft laugh came from the kitchen. Vanessa, Amelia, followed the sound. Vanessa Pierce stood at the counter, scrolling through her phone, perfectly at ease. Like she belonged there. Like she had always belonged there. She looked up when Amelia entered. "Oh," Vanessa said lightly. "You're back sooner than I expected." Amelia set her bag down on the table. "You're in my house." Vanessa smiled, unbothered. "It's Nathan's house." A small correction, deliberate. Amelia met her gaze. "You seem comfortable. I adapt quickly," Vanessa replied, setting her phone aside. "It's a useful skill." There was no denial, no attempt to soften the situation. That told Amelia more than anything else could have. Footsteps sounded behind her. Nathan, you shouldn't be here, he said. Not to Vanessa. To Amelia. She turned slowly. This is still my address for now, Nathan replied. There it was. Not anger, not even frustration, finality. Amelia studied his face. He looked certain, confident in a way that came from believing every piece was already in place.
You planned it,
She said. Nathan didn't hesitate. I prepared for it. A careful distinction. You've been making mistakes, he continued. At work, financially, personally. I ignored it for a long time. Amelia's eyes didn't move. Financially? Nathan walked to the counter and picked up a thin stack of papers. He slid them across the table toward her. Statements, he said. Accounts in your name. Charges you never reported. Amelia didn't reach for them. I didn't open those accounts. That's not how it looks, Nathan replied. Vanessa leaned lightly against the counter, watching, her expression calm, almost curious. Amelia finally picked up the papers. The numbers were clean, organized, convincing. $12,000, spread across transactions, dates that aligned with nights she had worked late shifts, carefully constructed. Her fingers tightened slightly around the pages, but her face didn't change. You're building a narrative, she said. I'm documenting reality. No, Amelia said quietly. You're rewriting it. Nathan exhaled, as if tired of the conversation. This isn't going to turn into an argument. I've already spoken to legal. We're filing for divorce. The word landed without impact. Amelia set the papers down. And the house, she asked? It will be handled in the settlement. And the hospital? Nathan's expression shifted, just for a second. Not uncertainty, just irritation. That's not your concern anymore. Vanessa smiled faintly. Amelia noticed, not the smile itself, what it meant. Vanessa knew something, or thought she did. Is that what you told the board? Amelia asked. Nathan's eyes narrowed slightly. This isn't about the board. It will be. Silence stretched for a moment. Nathan shook his head. You're not in a position to make threats. I'm not threatening you. She stepped closer to the table, her movements calm, controlled. I'm telling you that you're moving pieces you don't fully understand. Vanessa let out a quiet laugh. That sounds dramatic. Amelia turned her head slightly, meeting her eyes. It's not. For the first time, Vanessa didn't respond immediately. Nathan stepped forward, cutting the moment short. You need to pack your things. Amelia looked at him. Today. Another decision already made, another line drawn. She nodded once. All right, no resistance, no negotiation. That unsettled him more than anything else had. Amelia walked past them and toward the hallway. She didn't rush. She didn't look back. In the bedroom, the closet door was already half open. Empty hangers swayed slightly. He had started before she got home. That told her everything. This wasn't reaction. It was execution. She took a suitcase from the top shelf and set it on the bed. Folded clothes with the same quiet precision she had always used. Not because she had to, because it was the only way to keep control of the moment. Her bag sat beside her, the envelope still inside, unopened. She paused, staring at it for a long second. Then she reached for it. This time she didn't hesitate. She pulled it out. Cream-colored, sealed. Her father's handwriting still sharp across the front. For years she had carried it without asking what it meant. Because she hadn't needed to know. Now she did. Amelia slid her finger carefully under the edge of the seal and tore it open. The paper inside the envelope was thicker than she expected. Amelia unfolded it carefully, smoothing the crease with her fingers as if it might tear under pressure. The handwriting was unmistakable. Richard Sterling had always written with precision, clean lines. No wasted space, no unnecessary words. That hadn't changed, not even at the end. Not now, he had written at the top in the same steady script she remembered. When they show you who they are, open it then. Her eyes moved slowly down the page. There was no long explanation, no emotional farewell. That wasn't how her father had ever spoken. Instead, there was a single line beneath it. Call Benjamin Lawson. He kept it safe. It was always yours. A phone number followed. That was it. No mention of money, no mention of property, no mention of anything that explained why this had mattered enough for him to hold on to until his last days. Amelia stared at the paper for a long moment. Then she folded it again, more carefully this time. Outside the bedroom, she could still hear faint movement. Voices, Vanessa's laughter, low and controlled. Nathan's tone, quieter, more measured now that the confrontation was over. They had already moved on. That realization didn't hurt the way it should have. It clarified something. Amelia picked up her phone. Her thumb hovered over the number for just a second. Then she dialed. The call rang once, twice. On the second ring, it was answered. Lawson. His voice was calm, direct, no greeting. Amelia didn't introduce herself immediately. Benjamin's? And a pause. Yes, this is Amelia Sterling. Silence, not confusion. Recognition. I was wondering when you would call, he said. His tone shifted slightly, not warmer, but more focused. Amelia leaned back against the edge of the bed. You knew this would happen. I knew there would be a moment, he replied. Your father was very clear about that. She glanced down at the paper again. He didn't explain anything. He wouldn't, Lawson said. He believed in timing. Amelia let out a quiet breath, then started explaining now. Another pause. Measured this time, not over the phone. Her grip on the phone tightened slightly. I don't have time for vague answers. You don't have time for mistakes either, Lawson replied evenly. So listen carefully. The room felt smaller suddenly. Do not sign anything your husband puts in front of you. Not a document, not a statement, nothing. Amelia's eyes flicked toward the doorway. He's already preparing divorce filings. I'm aware, Lawson said. That made her pause. You're aware? Yes. How? A short silence. I've been watching the situation more closely than you realize. Amelia straightened slightly. Why? For the same reason your father left me that number. His voice didn't change, but the meaning landed differently. This wasn't coincidence. This wasn't reaction. This had been anticipated. Come to my office in the morning, Lawson continued. Bring the envelope. Bring anything your husband has given you. Every document. And then she asked, then we start with the truth, he said. The line went quiet for a moment. Amelia didn't hang up. Benjamin, she said, her voice lower now, steadier. Yes, what did my father leave me? This time the pause was longer. Not hesitation, care. More than you think, he said finally. But less than what matters. That wasn't an answer. Not really. But it was enough to tell her one thing. This wasn't about money. The call ended shortly after that. Amelia lowered the phone slowly, her thoughts sharper now than they had been all day. In the kitchen, Vanessa laughed again. The sound carried easily through the house. Amelia folded the letter and slipped it back into the envelope, then into her bag. She didn't look at it again. Not tonight. She finished packing without rushing clothes, documents, the essentials, not memories. Those were already gone. When she stepped back into the hallway, Nathan looked up from the kitchen table. A glass of something sat in front of him, untouched. Vanessa leaned against the counter, scrolling again, her expression unchanged. Amelia didn't stop walking. You're leaving? Nathan asked. Yes. Good. The word came too quickly. Amelia paused at the door, just long enough to turn back slightly. I won't be signing anything, she said. Nathan frowned. That's not your choice, it is. You don't understand how this works. Amelia met his eyes. That's where you're wrong. For a brief moment, something in his expression shifted again. Not fear, but uncertainty. Vanessa noticed it too. She pushed off the counter, stepping closer to Nathan, her voice light. She's stalling. Amelia didn't respond to her. She didn't need to. She opened the door and stepped outside. The air felt colder than before, clearer. She walked to her car without looking back. Inside the house, Nathan exhaled sharply. She's trying to make this complicated. Vanessa tilted her head slightly. Or she knows something you don't. Nathan shook his head immediately. She doesn't, are you sure? Vanessa asked softly. He didn't answer right away, because for the first time that day, he wasn't completely certain. Amelia drove through the city in silence, the lights passing in blurred lines across the windshield. Her mind wasn't racing anymore. It was organizing, separating what she knew from what she had assumed. Nathan had planned this, the financial records, the timing, the removal from the hospital. None of it had been sudden, which meant one thing. He believed there was something worth taking, and he believed she didn't understand it. Amelia tightened her grip on the wheel slightly. That assumption was about to cost him. She pulled into a small parking lot outside a quiet hotel on the edge of downtown. Nothing luxurious, nothing that would draw attention. She checked in without using her name aloud, paid, took the key, went upstairs. Inside the room, she placed her bag on the desk and finally sat down. The silence settled around her, not heavy, just still. For the first time since the ICU, she allowed herself to feel it. Not anger, not grief, something sharper, awareness. She opened her bag and took out the envelope again, placing it carefully on the desk. Beside it, she set the stack of financial statements Nathan had given her, side by side, truth and fabrication. Her phone buzzed. Amelia glanced down. Unknown number. She hesitated for a second, then answered. Yes, a different voice this time. Older, measured. Miss Sterling, the man said. My name is Daniel Reeves. I'm calling on behalf of Vantage Health Holdings. Amelia didn't move. I was told to reach out the moment you made contact with Mr. Lawson, he continued. Her fingers tightened slightly around the phone. Why? She asked. A pause. Because there are decisions being made that require authorization. Whose authorization? Another pause. Longer this time? Then carefully, deliberately yours. Amelia didn't respond right away. The word yourself listened into the sausages of that hotel room in a way that didn't feel dramatic. It felt precise. Like a fact that had been waiting for her to catch up to it. Explain, she said. Daniel Reeves didn't rush. There are active negotiations tied to Vantage Health Holdings, expansion contracts, executive restructuring, approvals that have been delayed. Delayed by who? She asked. Another pause. By the absence of a required authorization. Amelia leaned back slightly in her chair. And you believe that authorization belongs to me? We don't believe, Reeves said. We operate on documentation. That word mattered. Documentation. Not speculation. Not assumption. Paper. Amelia's eyes moved to the envelope again, then to the stack of statements Nathan had handed her earlier. Two separate worlds. One built quietly over years. The other built quickly, recently, with intent. What exactly is Vantage's role in the hospital, she asked. It's not a role, Reeves replied. It's ownership through layered entities. Majority control is exercised through holding structures. Amelia absorbed that slowly. Ownership. The word didn't land with excitement. It landed with weight. And where do I fit into that? She asked. This time Reeves didn't answer immediately. Miss Sterling, he said carefully, that's not something I can fully discuss over an unsecured call. But I can tell you this. Any agreement your husband is attempting to finalize cannot proceed without clearance from the controlling authority. And that authority hasn't signed. No, and he knows that? He knows the deal is pending, Reeves said. He does not know why. Amelia closed her eyes for a brief second. That gap mattered. That gap was where everything lived. Then don't explain anything to him, she said. Reeves didn't hesitate. We haven't. Good. Her tone was steady, controlled. Do not approve anything. Or do not reject anything. Leave it exactly where it is. There was a brief silence on the line, then understood. Amelia hung up. The room felt quieter than before. Not empty. Focused. She reached for the financial statements again and spread them out across the desk. Dates, charges, patterns. The kind of detail that only looked random if you didn't know what you were looking for. But Amelia did. Because she had never been careless with numbers. Not even when she had pretended not to care about them. She pulled her phone closer and opened her banking app. Cross-checked the account numbers. Looked at the timestamps, the spending locations. It didn't take long. The transactions weren't just fabricated. They were staged, designed to create a pattern of irresponsibility, of instability, of someone who couldn't be trusted with money, someone easy to discredit, someone easy to remove. Amelia sat back slowly. Nathan hadn't just prepared for a divorce. He had built a case. That realization didn't hurt. It clarified. Her phone buzzed again, this time a message. From an unknown number, she opened it. A screenshot. It took her a second to understand what she was looking at. Then she saw it. An internal hospital email. Subject line, Operational Concerns, ICU Oversight. Her name appeared 3 times. Amelia's expression didn't change, but something in her posture shifted. Below the subject line, a paragraph highlighted in yellow. Recent irregularities in financial handling and administrative reporting raise concerns regarding Amelia Sterling's continued role within the hospital's clinical environment. She scrolled. It went on. Professional language. Carefully worded. Neutral on the surface. But the implication was clear. She was a liability. She checked the sender, Nathan Holloway, circulated to department heads. Board copied. Vanessa Pierce included. Of course she was. Amelia locked the phone slowly. There it was. The next move. Not private. Public. Controlled. She stood and walked to the window, looking out at the city lights below. From a distance, everything looked stable. Structured. Predictable. Up close, it wasn't. That was where people made mistakes. They believed in the surface. Nathan believed he had already shaped the narrative, that the hospital saw her the way he wanted them to, that the board would follow the path he laid out, that Vanessa was an ally, that the financial records would hold, that she would react, that she would panic, that she would sign. Amelia let out a quiet breath. He had built his case carefully, but he had built it on one assumption, that she had nothing. She turned back to the desk and picked up the envelope again, ran her fingers along the edge, not to open it again, but to feel its presence. Her father hadn't left explanations, he had left timing, and now everything was aligning with it. Amelia sat down again and opened her laptop. She didn't rush, she didn't hesitate. She searched for the hospital's latest expansion filings, public records, press mentions, investor summaries. It didn't take long to find what she needed, a press release draft. Not yet published, but leaked. Nathan's name was attached. Pending approval, Holloway Medical Center will enter a strategic partnership with Vantage Health Holdings to expand its East Wing operations. Amelia read the line twice. Strategic partnership, not ownership. He didn't know. He thought Vantage was above him. External, a gatekeeper. Not the foundation beneath him. That misunderstanding wasn't small. It was everything. She closed the laptop slowly. The pieces weren't just falling into place. They had been placed, long before today. Her phone buzzed again. Another message, different number. This one wasn't anonymous. Vanessa Pierce. Amelia opened it. A photo. The living room wall. Clean. Empty. Where the wedding photos used to be. Below it, a caption. Some spaces feel better once the past is removed. No direct message, no exclamation, just implication. Amelia stared at it for a moment, then she tapped the screen, saved the image. No reaction, no reply. She opened a new message and forwarded the image to Benjamin Lawson. Underneath it, she typed a single word. Evidence. She hit send, set the phone down, and for the first time since the ICU, Amelia allowed herself to lean back fully in the chair. Not defeated, not overwhelmed, prepared. Across the city, in the house she had just left, Nathan Holloway was already planning his next step, believing he was ahead, believing he understood the game, believing the board would follow him, believing the deal would close, believing Amelia Sterling had already lost. He didn't know the truth yet, but he was getting closer to it with every move he made, and the closer he got, the more everything he had built was about to collapse on him. Amelia arrived at Benjamin Lawson's office just before 9. The building didn't try to impress. No glass towers, no polished marble lobby. Just an older structure with quiet authority, the kind of place that didn't need to prove anything, because it had already been involved in things that mattered. She stepped inside without hesitation. At the front desk, the receptionist looked up, her expression shifting almost immediately when she saw Amelia. "Miss Sterling?" Amelia paused for half a second. "Yes." The woman stood. "Mr. Lawson is expecting you. Please, right this way. No paperwork, no delay." Amelia followed her down a hallway lined with dark wood and closed doors. The air was still, controlled, every sound softened. Lawson's office door was already open. He stood when she entered, mid-50s, precise. Observant in a way that suggested he noticed everything before anyone realized it mattered. "Miss Sterling," he said. Amelia stepped inside. "Benjamin." He gestured toward the chair across from his desk. "Please." She sat, set her bag down, took out the envelope and placed it in front of him without a word. Lawson didn't open it. He looked at it for a moment, then at her. "You opened it," he said. "Yes." "Good." He sat down slowly, folding his hands on the desk. "Tell me what's happened," he said. Amelia didn't dramatize it. She didn't rush. She laid it out exactly as it was. The firing, the accusation, the financial statements, the internal email, the divorce filing, Vanessa's presence, the house. Lawson didn't interrupt. He listened. When she finished, he leaned back slightly. "They moved faster than expected," he said. "They?" Amelia asked. Lawson's expression didn't change. "Your husband isn't operating alone." Amelia thought of Vanessa. "I assumed that. You should assume more than that," Lawson replied calmly. "But we'll get there." He reached for a folder on his desk. Thick, organized, already prepared. He opened it halfway, then stopped. "Before we go any further, I need you to understand something clearly," he said. Amelia didn't move. "This is not about reacting to what your husband is doing," he continued. "It's about understanding what he's stepping into." Amelia held his gaze. "Then explain it." Lawson nodded once. "Your father did not leave you money," he said. Amelia didn't react. He watched her for a second, as if measuring whether she expected that. She didn't. "So what did he leave me?" she asked. Lawson tapped the folder lightly. "He left you control." The word landed differently than ownership. He slid a single page across the desk. "Look at the name." Amelia lowered her eyes. "Vantage Health Holdings." The same name from the call. The same name from the contract, the same name Nathan had been chasing. She looked back up. My father built this? Yes. Lawson didn't elaborate. He didn't need to. Amelia's mind was already connecting the lines. The hospital, she said slowly. Lawson nodded. Is part of a network of assets held through layered structures. Vantage is the entity that sits above it. Not publicly, not visibly, but decisively. Amelia leaned back slightly. And I'm connected to it how? Lawson's eyes held hers. You are the designated successor within the trust structure your father established. Not owner, not yet. Successor. The distinction mattered. What does that mean in practice? Amelia asked. It means, Lawson said evenly, that certain decisions cannot proceed without your authorization once that authority is activated. Activated? Yes. And right now, she asked. Lawson closed the folder halfway. Right now the structure is in a transitional state. Your father anticipated that you might not step into it immediately. Amelia let out a slow breath. So technically, I don't control anything yet. Technically, Lawson said, you control more than your husband realizes, but less than you eventually will. That answer wasn't clean. It wasn't supposed to be. Then why is he moving forward like this? Amelia asked. Because he believes Vantage is external, Lawson said. A partner, a gatekeeper. Something he needs approval from, not something that could override him entirely. Amelia thought back to the press release. Strategic partnership. He didn't know. That's his mistake, she said. Yes, Lawson replied, but it's not his only one. He turned the page in the folder and slid another document toward her. This is the expansion contract he's pushing through. Amelia scanned it quickly. The structure, the language, the dependency clauses. Then she saw it, at the bottom, a line highlighted in yellow, subject to approval by the majority authority of Vantage Health Holdings. Her fingers stilled. That's the signature he needs, she said. Yes. And he doesn't have it. No. Amelia looked up. But he's moving forward anyway. Lawson nodded. He's trying to bypass it. How? By building a narrative that removes you from relevance, Lawson said. If he can discredit you legally, professionally, financially, he creates a pathway to argue that your authorization is not required or can be reassigned. Amelia's jaw tightened slightly. That's why the financial statements exist. Yes. That's why the email was circulated. Yes, that's why he moved Vanessa into the house. Lawson didn't answer immediately. Then, yes, Amelia leaned back in her chair. For a moment she didn't speak, not because she didn't understand, because she did, completely. He's not divorcing me, she said quietly. Lawson watched her. He's clearing the path. Amelia's eyes lifted again, and he thinks I don't even know there's a path. Lawson didn't smile, but there was a shift in his expression, recognition. That's exactly what he thinks. Silence settled between them. Not heavy, focused. So what do we do? Amelia asked. Lawson closed the folder slowly. We don't react, he said. We document. He reached for the envelope again, tapping it lightly. Your father didn't prepare you to fight emotionally. He prepared you to wait strategically. Amelia nodded once. And when does waiting stop? She asked. Lawson held her gaze. When he reaches far enough in front of the wrong people. Amelia exhaled slowly. Then we let him keep going. She stood, picked up the documents, slid them back into the folder. Not rushed, not hesitant, deliberate. Send me everything you have on the contract, she said. Lawson nodded. You'll have it within the hour, and anything he files legally. You'll see it before it's finalized. Amelia picked up her bag, paused. Benjamin, yes. If he crosses into fraud, he already has, Lawson said calmly. That stopped her. How far? Lawson didn't answer directly. Far enough that when this turns, he said, it won't be a negotiation. Amelia held his gaze for a second longer. Then she nodded and walked out. Back in the hallway, the quiet felt different. Not uncertain. Certain. Her phone buzzed again as she stepped outside. A new message, internal hospital memo, forwarded anonymously. Subject, executive review, immediate staffing adjustments. She opened it. Her name was gone, her position removed, reassigned. Vanessa Pierce listed as interim lead, effective immediately. Amelia stared at the screen for a moment, then locked it. No reaction, no hesitation. Because now she understood exactly what Nathan was doing. And more importantly, how far he was willing to go. She got into her car, started the engine, and placed the phone down beside her. Nathan Holloway believed he was removing her piece by piece. He didn't realize he was signing his own exposure with every move, and somewhere inside the hospital he still called his. A decision was already waiting for a signature he didn't know he could never replace. Amelia didn't go back to the hotel right away. She drove without a destination for a while, letting the city move around her while her thoughts stayed fixed on one thing. Vantage, not as a name anymore, as leverage, as silence, or as something Nathan was already entangled in without understanding how deep it went. She pulled into a quiet parking structure across from the hospital and turned off the engine. The building stood across the street, exactly where it had always been. Nothing about it suggested what it actually was, or who it truly belonged to. Amelia stayed in the car for a moment, watching the entrance. Staff moving in and out, doctors checking their phones, nurses stepping outside for quick breaks. A routine, unaware. She stepped out and crossed the street. Not through the front doors, through the side entrance she had used for years, the one that didn't require acknowledgement. Inside, the air felt the same, sterile, controlled, familiar. But the way people looked at her had changed. Some paused, some turned away, a few watched too long. The memo had already done its work. Amelia didn't stop walking. She moved past the nurse's station without speaking, her steps steady, her expression neutral. The same calm she had carried the day before, the same calm that had unsettled Nathan, because it didn't match the narrative he was trying to build. Inside the administrative wing, the shift was even clearer. Doors that used to open for her stayed closed. Conversations lowered when she passed. She reached the records office and knocked once before stepping inside. A man looked up from behind a desk, mid-30s, quiet. Someone who had spent more time with files than with people. He blinked when he saw her. Amelia. She closed the door behind her. "I need something." He hesitated, then nodded. "What kind of something?" "Expansion contract," she said. "The one Nathan's pushing." He leaned back slightly. "Considering that's not public, I know. And it's not something I can just print," Amelia said. "I'm not asking you to do anything illegal." He studied her for a moment. "You're not exactly in a position to be making requests right now," he said carefully. Amelia didn't argue. She stepped closer to the desk. "I'm not asking as staff," she said. "I'm asking as someone who knows that contract's going to be reviewed again before it's finalized." His expression shifted slightly. Not trust, recognition. "Why?" he asked. Amelia held his gaze. "Because it's incomplete," that landed. He didn't ask how she knew. He turned back to his computer. "You didn't get this from me," he said quietly. "I didn't." He printed a few pages, slid them across the desk. Amelia picked them up. Didn't thank him, didn't need to. She left the office and walked straight back out of the building. No confrontation, no hesitation. Just information. Back in her car, she spread the pages across the passenger seat and read. Not quickly, carefully, clause by clause. She wasn't looking for mistakes. She was looking for intent, and she found it. A section near the end. Amendment pathway. If primary authorization cannot be obtained due to disqualification of involved parties, authority may be reassigned through board consensus. Amelia's fingers stilled on the page. There it was, the mechanism, not clean, not guaranteed, but possible. If Nathan succeeded in discrediting her completely, he could argue she was no longer a valid authority. And the board, if convinced, could shift control. Not legally simple, but strategically dangerous. Amelia leaned back slowly. He wasn't just trying to remove her from the hospital. He was trying to remove her from relevance, from legitimacy, from the structure itself. Her phone buzzed. "Benjamin," she answered immediately. "I have the contract," she said. "Then you've seen the clause," he replied. "Yes." Silence. "Then he's closer than I expected." Amelia's grip tightened slightly. "How far can that clause go?" "Not far enough if challenged correctly," Benjamin said. "But far enough to cause damage if he builds a convincing case. He's already started." "I know." Another pause. "Then we don't wait," Amelia said. Benjamin didn't answer immediately. "Careful," he said. "Moving too early exposes you before he commits fully." Amelia looked back at the hospital. "He already is committing," she said. "He's just doing it slowly, and that's where he's vulnerable," Benjamin replied. "He believes he has time." Amelia's eyes narrowed slightly. "So we take that away." Benjamin exhaled quietly. "That depends on how far you're willing to let him go." Amelia didn't hesitate. Far enough. The line went quiet. "Then there's something else," Benjamin said. "You're not the only one watching Vantage." Amelia's attention sharpened. "Who?" "A few interested parties," he said. "Or investors, advisors. People who realize the structure isn't what it looks like." Amelia thought of Vanessa. Her calm, her confidence, her lack of surprise. "She knows," Amelia said. "Who?" "Vanessa." Benjamin didn't dismiss it. "How much?" Enough to stay close, Amelia replied. Not enough to understand it, Benjamin said. I know, and if she moves first? Amelia looked down at the contract again, at the clause, at the structure Nathan thought he could control. She won't, Amelia said quietly. Why not? Because she's waiting to see who wins. Benjamin paused. Then that makes her worse than him. Amelia didn't disagree. She ended the call and leaned back in the seat. The picture was clearer now. Nathan was building a case. Vanessa was watching the outcome. The board was being positioned. The contract was the center, and Vantage was the foundation none of them understood. Amelia gathered the papers and placed them back into her bag. No rush, no panic, just movement. Because now she knew exactly what needed to happen next. She started the car. But before she could pull out, her phone buzzed again. Another message. This one wasn't anonymous. It was from Vanessa. Amelia opened it. A single line. Meet me. You're not the only one who knows about Vantage. Amelia didn't reply immediately. She stared at the message for a few seconds, reading it again, not because she hadn't understood it, but because she was measuring it. Vanessa Pierce didn't send messages like that unless she had already decided the outcome of the conversation. That meant two things. She knew something, and she believed Amelia needed her. Amelia locked the phone and set it down on the passenger seat. Then she started the car. She didn't ask where to meet, Vanessa would tell her. Another message came through before Amelia pulled out of the parking lot. An address, no explanation, no time. Amelia recognized the location immediately. A private lounge a few blocks from the hospital. Quiet, controlled, the kind of place people used when they didn't want to be seen, but still wanted to feel like they were in control. Amelia drove there without rushing. When she walked in, the room was dim, low lighting. A handful of tables. Conversations kept deliberately soft. Vanessa was already there, of course she was. She sat near the back, facing the entrance, one leg crossed over the other, a glass of something untouched in front of her. Calm, composed, like she had been waiting long enough to know Amelia would come. Amelia walked straight to the table and sat across from her. No greeting, no acknowledgement, just presence. Vanessa smiled slightly. I wasn't sure you'd show up. You were, Amelia said. Vanessa didn't deny it. She leaned back slightly, studying Amelia's face. You look steady. For someone who just lost everything, Amelia didn't react. That depends on what you think everything is, she said. Vanessa's smile sharpened. That's why I asked you here. Silence stretched for a moment. Vanessa lifted her glass, then set it down again without drinking. I know about Vantage, she said. Direct. No hesitation. Amelia didn't blink. How much do you think you know, she asked. Vanessa tilted her head. Enough to know Nathan is chasing something he doesn't understand. That's obvious, is it? Vanessa said lightly. He thinks it's a partnership. He thinks he's about to move into a different level. And you? Amelia asked. Vanessa's gaze didn't shift. I think he's standing on something he can't see. That was closer, still incomplete. Amelia leaned back slightly. Then why are you talking to me? She asked. Vanessa smiled again, slower this time. Because you're not reacting the way you're supposed to. Amelia didn't respond. You didn't fight him in the ICU, Vanessa continued. You didn't defend yourself when the email went out. You didn't argue when he handed you those statements. You didn't even try to stay in the house. Her eyes narrowed slightly. That's not weakness, Vanessa said quietly. That's awareness. Amelia let the silence sit between them. Vanessa leaned forward slightly, lowering her voice. I did my homework before I got involved with Nathan, she said. I don't align myself with people unless I understand what they're connected to. Amelia watched her. And what did you find? She asked. Vanessa tapped her finger lightly against the table. A name, she said. Vantage Health Holdings. Amelia didn't react. A structure, Vanessa continued. Layered ownership, quiet influence, no public face. Still nothing. Vanessa's smile faded slightly. And then I found you, she said. That was the first real move. Amelia held her gaze. Vanessa didn't answer right away. She was studying Amelia now, looking for something. Confirmation, reaction, hesitation. She didn't get it. That's what I'm still figuring out, Vanessa said. Amelia nodded once. Then you don't know enough to be making deals, she replied. Vanessa's expression didn't change, but something in her eyes sharpened. I know enough to know Nathan is going to lose, she said. And you're trying to decide which side to stand on. Vanessa didn't deny it. That's called strategy, she said. No, Amelia replied coldly. The word landed. Vanessa exhaled softly. Fine, she said. Then let's be direct. She leaned forward, her voice lower now. Nathan is pushing that contract through. He's already circulated internal concerns about you. He's building a case to remove you from any position that would give you authority. I'm aware. He's closer than you think, Vanessa added. The board is already questioning your role. Amelia didn't move. Then they're making the same mistake he is, she said. Vanessa watched her closely. That's the part I don't understand, she said. You're not fighting back. You're not correcting the narrative. You're letting it happen. Yes. Why? Amelia leaned slightly forward. Because he hasn't gone far enough yet. Vanessa held her gaze. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Vanessa sat back slowly. That's not how people behave when they're losing, she said. No, Amelia replied. It's how they behave when they're waiting. Vanessa's fingers tapped once against the glass. Then she made her move. I can help you, she said. Amelia didn't respond. I have access, Vanessa continued. Internal conversations, board discussions. I know what he's saying behind closed doors. I know what he's planning next. And what do you want? Amelia asked. Vanessa didn't hesitate. Alignment. A single word. Clean. Calculated. Don't want him, Amelia said. Vanessa gave a small, almost amused smile. He was never the point. That confirmed it. This was never about an affair. It was about positioning. You want the outcome, Amelia said. Yes, and you think I control it. Vanessa didn't answer directly, but she didn't deny it either. Work with me, she said. You don't have to do this alone. Let me handle the board side. Let me redirect the narrative. We stabilize your position, and when the contract closes, we both benefit. Amelia studied her for a long moment. Vanessa's confidence wasn't reckless. It was calculated, but it was also incomplete. She was guessing, and guessing in a structure like this was dangerous. No, Amelia said. Vanessa's expression didn't change immediately. Then, slowly, you should think about that, she said. I did. Vanessa's eyes hardened slightly. You're making this harder than it needs to be. No, Amelia replied calmly. You are. Silence settled again. Then Vanessa leaned back, her voice cooling. Then let's be clear, she said. If you don't work with me, I take what I know to Nathan. Amelia didn't react. I tell him everything I've found, Vanessa continued. About Vantage, about you, about the gaps in his understanding. You don't know enough to tell him anything useful, Amelia said. Vanessa's lips curved slightly. Maybe not everything, she admitted. But enough to make him look closer. That was the real threat. Not exposure, attention. Amelia held her gaze. If he looks closer, Vanessa added softly, he might find something before you're ready. Amelia didn't respond right away. She let the silence stretch just long enough. Then, he won't, she said. Vanessa frowned slightly. You're very sure? Yes. Why? Amelia stood, not abruptly, not dramatically, just enough to end the conversation. Because he's too busy believing he already understands everything, she said. Vanessa watched her, something unreadable in her expression now. And if you were wrong, she asked. Amelia picked up her bag, then looked down at her. I'm not. She turned and walked away, no hesitation, no second glance. Behind her, Vanessa didn't move for a few seconds. Then she reached for her phone, typed something quickly, and sent it. Across the city, Nathan Holloway's phone lit up on the kitchen counter. A new message from Vanessa. I think you should start looking into your wife more carefully. Nathan didn't answer Vanessa's message right away. He stared at the screen longer than he intended to, reading the sentence again, as if it might mean something different the second time. I think you should start looking into your wife more carefully. It wasn't urgent, it wasn't emotional. That was what made it matter. Nathan set the phone down slowly and leaned back in his chair. The kitchen felt quieter than it had all day. Too quiet, the kind of quiet that made thoughts louder. He didn't like that, because the thought that kept returning was simple. Why hadn't Amelia fought back? He pushed it away at first, because it didn't fit. Everything he had built over the past few months depended on one assumption, that Amelia would react the way anyone in her position would: defensive, emotional, desperate. Instead, she had walked away, calm, too calm. Nathan exhaled sharply and stood, grabbing his phone again. He scrolled through his messages and opened the thread with Vanessa. What exactly do you think she's hiding? The reply came almost immediately. Nothing, I observe. Nathan frowned. That's not an answer. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Have you ever asked yourself why she never cared about money? Nathan stared at the screen. That's not unusual, isn't it? Vanessa replied. You built your entire life around moving up. Bigger deals, bigger influence, bigger visibility. And she never once tried to step into that with you. Nathan didn't answer, because that part was true. Amelia had never asked for more, never pushed for a bigger house, never questioned his decisions, never inserted herself into his meetings. At the time, he had seen that as a lack of ambition. Now it felt like something else. She worked night shifts, Nathan typed. She stayed out of the way. Vanessa's reply came slower this time, or she didn't need to step in. Nathan's jaw tightened. That doesn't make sense. Then explain her reaction today, Vanessa said. Explain why she didn't argue. Explain why she didn't try to stay. Explain why she didn't even defend herself when you accused her of financial misconduct. Nathan didn't respond. Because he couldn't, not without admitting something he didn't want to consider. She knew something, Vanessa continued, or she wouldn't have been that calm. Nathan locked the phone and tossed it onto the counter. No, that wasn't it. It couldn't be. He had built everything carefully, every step, every document, every conversation. He had checked every detail. There was nothing in Amelia's life that suggested she had any kind of leverage. No hidden accounts, no connections, no influence. Just. He stopped. His eyes narrowed slightly. There had been one thing. Not significant, not at the time, but it had come up more than once. Vantage. Nathan walked into his office and opened his laptop, pulled up the contract again. Scrolled through it, not for the numbers this time, but for the structure, the dependency, the approval line. Subject to authorization by Vantage Health Holdings. He had seen it dozens of times. He had treated it like a hurdle, a formality, or something that could be managed once everything else was aligned. But Vanessa's words stayed in his head, or she didn't need to step in. Nathan leaned back in his chair. What if no? He shook the thought away. It didn't fit the facts. Amelia was a nurse. She had always been a nurse. She had no background in corporate structures, no exposure to high-level negotiations, no involvement in any of the deals he had worked on. She didn't even attend the meetings. Except he frowned. There had been moments, small ones, times when he had been on the phone late at night talking through strategy, and she had said something, a detail, a correction. At the time, he had brushed it off, or assumed she had overheard something, guessed. Now he wasn't so sure. Nathan opened a new tab and searched Vantage Health Holdings. Public information was limited. A holding company, private, minimal. Disclosures. Standard structure. Nothing unusual. Nothing that connected it to Amelia. That should have been reassuring. It wasn't. He closed the laptop abruptly. This was a distraction. Vanessa was overthinking it. Amelia wasn't a factor. She couldn't be. Because if she was, Nathan stood suddenly, grabbing his jacket. No. He wasn't going to sit here and guess. He was going to confirm. He left the house without texting Vanessa, without calling anyone, just movement. Because clarity came from action. At the hospital, the atmosphere shifted the moment he walked in. People straightened. Conversations paused. Authority still held. That hadn't changed. Nathan walked straight through the administrative wing, ignoring the glances, the subtle tension in the air. He went directly to the executive office, closed the door behind him, and picked up the phone. Get me the full file on Amelia Sterling, he said. A pause. Everything. Employment, history, background checks, any external affiliations, another pause. Then, yes, sir. Nathan hung up and leaned against the desk. This was simple. He would verify, or confirm what he already knew, and put this to rest. Minutes passed, then his email pinged. He opened it immediately. The file was there, organized, clean, exactly what he expected. He scrolled, medical training, employment records, performance reviews, nothing unusual, or nothing hidden, just consistency, stability, predictability. Nathan exhaled slowly. Of course, he had built this narrative correctly. There was nothing there. He leaned back, ready to close the file, then his eyes caught something. A reference. Small, almost buried. A note in the background verification section. External contact verification incomplete, reference declined disclosure. Nathan frowned. He clicked on it. A name appeared. Benjamin Lawson. Nathan's expression shifted. That name, he had heard it before, recently. Where? Then it hit him. The legal filings. Lawson's firm had been listed in a separate case tied to a healthcare acquisition. Not his deal, a different one. Bigger. More complex. Nathan straightened slowly. Why would Amelia have a connection to that name? Why would a lawyer like that be listed in her background at all? Nathan picked up his phone. This time he didn't hesitate. He called Vanessa. She answered on the second ring. Well, she said. Nathan's voice was quieter now. Who is Benjamin Lawson? There was a pause on the line, long enough to matter. When Vanessa spoke again, her tone had changed. That, she said slowly, is a very good question. Amelia did not check her phone until late that night. She had left the hospital hours ago, but the weight of it stayed with her. The silence after humiliation always felt louder than the moment itself. It followed her into the apartment. It sat with her in the dim light, or it waited. When she finally picked up her phone, she saw the missed call, Benjamin Lawson. She stared at his name for a moment before calling back. He answered immediately. I was expecting you earlier, he said. Calm, steady. I needed time, Amelia replied. A pause. Understandable, he said. But things are moving faster now. Amelia leaned back against the couch, her fingers still curled around the edge of the envelope she had carried for years. The cream paper was slightly worn now, softened at the corners from being moved from drawer to drawer. I opened it, she said quietly. Another pause. I assumed you had, Benjamin replied. Did you follow the instructions? I called you. Good. Then we can begin. I need to know what I'm dealing with, she said. Not pieces. Not hints. Benjamin didn't answer right away. You will, he said finally. But not all at once. Your father was very clear about that. Amelia's grip tightened slightly. He said to wait until they showed me who they were. And they have, Benjamin said. Publicly. That matters. Amelia let out a slow breath. Then stop protecting me from the truth. I'm not protecting you, Benjamin said gently. I'm positioning you. That word landed differently. Positioning. Your husband has already filed preliminary legal motions, he continued. Nothing finalized yet, but the intent is clear. He's building a narrative. I know, Amelia said. He's already started inside the hospital. Yes, Benjamin replied. We've seen the internal communications. Amelia sat up slightly. We? Another pause. You are not alone in this, he said. You haven't been for a long time. That should have been comforting. Instead, it made her more alert. Then tell me what you can tell me, she said, now. Benjamin exhaled slowly. Your father did not leave you money, he said. Amelia felt something drop in her chest. Then what did he leave? A structure, Benjamin replied. A legal entity designed to hold and control assets without direct exposure. A trust. But not the kind people talk about casually. Amelia said nothing. Money can be spent. Assets can be divided, he continued. Control is different. Control requires layers, protections, conditions. Control of what? She asked. Benjamin paused again. Have you heard the name Vantage Health Holdings? Amelia's eyes opened. Yes, she said slowly. Nathan's deal depends on it. I know, Benjamin replied. The room felt smaller. What is it? She asked. A holding company, he said, privately structured. It owns and manages multiple healthcare assets across several states. Hospitals, facilities, land, contracts. Amelia's pulse picked up. And my father. He built it, Benjamin said. Silence. Amelia stared at the envelope in her hand, as if it might change shape. That doesn't make sense, she said quietly. We weren't wealthy. Benjamin finished for her. That was intentional. Amelia's throat tightened slightly. He kept his name off everything that mattered publicly, Benjamin continued. He wanted to see how people treated others when they thought there was nothing to gain. Amelia swallowed. And me? She asked. You were named in the structure, Benjamin said. Not as an owner in the conventional sense. As a successor, the word settled heavily. What does that mean? It means, he said carefully, that under the conditions defined in the trust, authority transfers to you. Authority over what? Amelia pressed. Benjamin didn't answer directly. Not yet, he said, because the activation conditions matter. Timing matters. And right now, what matters most is that you do not respond emotionally to anything your husband does next. Amelia let out a short breath. He already thinks I'm unstable, she said. He's building that case. Yes, Benjamin replied. Which is why you don't give him anything that supports it. Amelia looked down at her hands. They humiliated me in front of everyone, she said. He tore my badge off like I was disposable, I know, Benjamin said quietly. I'm supposed to do nothing. No, he said. You're supposed to do the right things. Amelia leaned forward, her voice sharper now. Which are, document everything, he said. Every message, every post, every internal communication. Do not confront him. Do not defend yourself publicly. Let him build the narrative he thinks will win. Amelia stared at the wall, and then we use it, Benjamin said. The calm in his voice was not passive. It was precise. Amelia felt something shift inside her. Not anger, something steadier, If Vantage matters to his deal, she said slowly, and my father built Vantage, she stopped. Because she could feel the edge of something she wasn't ready to name yet. Benjamin didn't fill the silence. Come to my office tomorrow, he said. There are documents you need to see. Not all of them. Just enough. And if Nathan tries to push the divorce faster, she asked. He will, Benjamin said. That's part of the strategy. Amelia nodded slowly, even though he couldn't see her. Then I won't sign anything. Good, Benjamin replied. Because once you do, you lose leverage you don't even realize you have yet. The call ended shortly after. Amelia sat there for a long time, the envelope still in her hand, the name still echoing in her head. Vantage. She had heard it before. Late nights, Nathan on the phone, his tone sharper, more controlled. Like he was trying to impress someone, or convince them. She stood and walked to the window. The city lights felt distant, disconnected. For the first time in years, she wasn't thinking about surviving the next shift. She was thinking about something else, understanding, control, not the kind Nathan chased. Something quieter, something deeper. Her phone buzzed, a new message, unknown number. She hesitated before opening it. It was a screenshot, an internal hospital email. From Nathan, her name in the subject line. Concerns regarding Amelia Sterling's conduct and financial irregularities. Her jaw tightened slightly as she read. He was moving faster now, faster than she expected. The message was already circulating, already shaping perception. Amelia stared at the screen, then, without hesitation, she saved it, forwarded it. To Benjamin, one word in the message, evidence. She set the phone down, and for the first time since the ICU, she allowed herself a single, quiet thought. He had already gone too far, and he didn't even know it yet. The silence after the gala did not feel like victory. It felt like something had finally settled into place. Amelia stood near the edge of the ballroom as people slowly began to leave, their voices low, their eyes still drifting back to her, as if they were trying to reconcile two different versions of the same woman. The nurse who had once worked double shifts without complaint. The woman who had just stopped an entire boardroom with a single sentence. The hidden heiress they had never seen. And Nathan had not moved for a long time. Even after security escorted him away from the center of the room, even after his access was revoked in real time, he stayed seated, staring at nothing. The man, who had built his confidence on control, now looked like he was trying to understand how control had slipped through his hands without him ever noticing. It wasn't sudden. That was the truth he could not accept. It had been there all along. He just never saw her. Margaret Holloway approached slowly, her steps uncertain in a way Amelia had never seen before. The sharpness in her posture was gone. The quiet authority she had carried for years had softened into something closer to hesitation. Amelia, she said. Amelia turned to face her. For a moment neither woman's. Margaret lowered her eyes first. I misjudged you, she said. The words came carefully, as if she had never said anything like them before. I thought I understood what mattered. Amelia didn't interrupt. Margaret continued, quieter now. I thought status meant something. Titles, appearances. I thought my son had built something strong. She looked toward the empty space where Nathan had been. I didn't realize what he had built it on. Amelia held her gaze. My father spent his life watching people, she said calmly. Not when they were being rewarded. When they thought no one important was watching. Margaret swallowed, and I failed that test. Amelia didn't soften the truth. Yes, she said, but there was no cruelty in it, no satisfaction, just clarity. Margaret nodded slowly, accepting it in a way that surprised even herself. I don't expect forgiveness, she said. Amelia tilted her head slightly. Then don't ask for it, she replied. The conversation ended there, not with reconciliation, but with something more honest. Across the room, Vanessa Pierce had already moved on. She stood near a cluster of board members, her posture composed, her expression carefully neutral. When Amelia's eyes met hers, Vanessa gave a small, almost imperceptible nod. Not apology, not loyalty. Recognition. She had played her position well, and now she was stepping away before the consequences could reach her. Amelia understood that kind of thinking. But she also knew she would never build anything that way. By the time the last guests left, the room felt different, not empty. Reset. The following week moved quickly. The board did not hesitate. Nathan's removal was formalized through internal governance procedures, backed by the evidence Benjamin had already submitted. The forged documents triggered a deeper investigation. External auditors were brought in. Legal counsel expanded their review. The deal Nathan had fought so hard to secure collapsed within days. Without Vantage's approval, it had never been viable. He had just never known it. Margaret withdrew from the hospital almost entirely. Her influence, once quiet but powerful, faded just as quietly. Invitations stopped coming. Conversations shifted. The world she had relied on moved forward without her. Vanessa disappeared from the hospital within the same week. No formal goodbye, no explanation. Just a clean exit timed perfectly before any legal exposure could reach her. And Amelia did not celebrate. She returned to the hospital early on a Monday morning, not in a nurse's uniform, not as someone asking for permission. She walked through the front doors in a simple, tailored suit, carrying only a slim folder. No security, no announcement. For a brief moment, the lobby went still. People recognized her, but they weren't sure how to respond. Until one nurse, an older woman who had worked beside her for years, stood up from her station and began to clap. Once, others followed. Doctors, receptionists, orderlies. The sound spread slowly, then all at once. Not loud at first, then undeniable. Amelia paused, just for a second, taking it in, not the applause, the shift. Respect that had always been there, but now visible. She gave a small nod, then she walked forward. There was work to do. In the weeks that followed, Amelia made changes. Not dramatic ones, not for attention, but deliberate. The expansion project Nathan had pushed was reviewed from the ground up. Contracts were renegotiated with transparency. Departments that had been understaffed were reinforced. Night shifts, once treated as expendable, were restructured to protect the people who carried them. And one wing of the hospital, the one Nathan had planned to cut for profit, was redesigned entirely. A community care center, open late, accessible, staffed by people who were finally paid what they were worth. Amelia didn't put her name on it. She didn't need to. The people who worked there already knew. One afternoon, she stood alone in the corridor outside that wing, looking at a framed photo that had just been placed on the wall. Richard Sterling, older. Thinner than she remembered at the end, but smiling, watching. She exhaled slowly. He had never wanted recognition. He had wanted truth, and now she understood why. Later that evening, Amelia received one last message. From Nathan. No anger this time. Or no arrogance. Just a single line. I never really knew you. She read it once, then set the phone down. He was right, but not in the way he thought. He had known her kindness, her patience, her willingness to stand beside him when there was nothing to gain. He had just never believed those things had value, and that had cost him everything. Amelia didn't reply. Some truths didn't need answers. She walked out of the hospital that night, the same way she had walked out before. Calm, steady. But this time she wasn't leaving anything behind. She was choosing where to go next. And for the first time in years, it was entirely her decision. If you've ever been underestimated, you already know, silence doesn't mean weakness.